Hello.
Hello. I was actually half expecting you to get completely dressed again, so I'm very impressed that you kept your open shirt.
Welcome to my car, friends. Do we know where we're going?
Miranda nodded slightly and leaned forward to hold her phone up. Her persistence had bared fruit.
There's some suburbs surrounding the city where ice cream trucks have routes during the summer. I can't tell exactly where they're gonna be when we get there, though.
That is more than enough.
The two conferred on directions until Baxter decided to route towards a random neighborhood street in the area as a starting point. He took off, the car gliding across the road with minimum vibration affecting the cabin. In the heat of the excitement, Terry reached up from the middle seat and punched on the music. It connected to Baxter's song list, and your eardrums were struck by the pounding of a regular drum. A guitar riff shrieked out after. It was on a punk metal track. Turn it up! The fancy speaker system showed off, utterly encasing you in the vibrations of sound. Baxter bobbed his head to the bass. As the drive continued, the music brought an almost surreal feel to the trip. The shredding guitars and shouted lyrics were a weird contrast to your goal of finding an ice cream truck. It inserted the humorous mental picture of an ice cream truck playing screaming punk metal instead of twinkling tunes to summon children for icy treats. Zipping through the length of Sunset Bird in no time, you flew past the now leaving sign. Past that, the car zoomed down the open road while Miranda attempted to dig up more details on the elusive ice cream trucks. Do they have socials? Maybe someone tagged them in a pic or they're live tweeting.
Huh? Why would an ice cream truck be on Twitter? And I can't even find out their hours for sure.
I believe in you. Minutes added up, as did the miles. The city got closer, but the shadows closed in faster. The sun glinted from behind distant skyscrapers. Calling it late afternoon was being generous. It was evening. Unspoken tension began to form. The odds of an ice cream truck being active dropped with every passing second. But Miranda continued the search and Baxter kept driving. As planned, he turned off the highway and followed the streets into the heart of the suburbs. He rolled through neighborhoods aimlessly until...
Yes!
Miranda beamed and shoved her phone up to the front. You found one?
There's a truck that's still open and nearby. It was on Facebook. I think if we go down their route, it will find it at some point.
No way.
Amazing.
Never heard of that.
Yeah, who uses Facebook?
People who want ice cream. Let's go.
Please direct me. I can't read the post.
First, take a left at this next stop sign.
Baxter clicked off the music to focus on Miranda's words. He also opened his window. Terry and Co followed Baxter's lead, but Terry could get further and pushed her head out the window as far as the seatbelt would let her, hands cupped around her ears. Cove would lean farther out when he saw anything even kind of truck-shaped. Everyone had their ears and eyes wide open for any signs. If an ice cream truck was somewhere in the area, they weren't going to miss it. I would open mine too. It took a second to locate the correct button on the door. It was as sleek and unobtrusive as the rest of the machine, and that made it tricky to see when you didn't know where to look. You pressed it down until the glass beside you completely disappeared. At such a slow pace, the wind coming through whipped at your hair gently, pleasantly. Much less nicely, a fine dust blew in from the street. You squinted against the dirt and the sun. It had sunk low enough to be perpendicular with your eye line. Still no truck to be seen. The houses you passed seemed older, probably built decades ago. Some had colorful lawn decorations and well-kept flower gardens. Others were nothing but green grass. Conversation stopped entirely once Miranda had told Baxter all he needed to know. He drove through the residential streets like a hunter on the prowl. The target could have been anywhere. He turned a corner. Faint laughter filtered in through the windows. You heard birds chirping and rustling leaves. But in that moment, none of that mattered. That's not what you needed. Fingers were crossed and breaths were held. Baxter turned yet again towards the signs of life, and a new sound gradually floated in from the distance. You concentrated on the high-pitched jingling tune. Was it? It had to be. It was the musical call of an ice cream truck. Nobody could see it yet, despite there being watchers on all sides, but the song got louder. Baxter followed it persistently, his fingers tightening their grip on the wheel. That jingle was the Pied Piper, and everyone was drawn in by it. The car came up to a crossroads and stopped. That instant, a clamor filled the car. Everyone, even the ever-relaxed Baxter, cheered or gasped in sync. An ice cream truck drove right by, in front of your very eyes. It was technically white, but covered with so many brightly colored pictures, the original paint was more of an accent. Stickers with warnings such as, "Go slow," and "Watch for children" stood out in red, and recognizable characters in edible versions were in a grid, labeling them as A1 or C3 for convenient ordering. It was like a moving treasure chest of frozen goodness, and the temptation was too strong for some. Still in the middle of the intersection, Cove's door popped open and his seatbelt zipped up against the cushion with nothing left to protect. Cove was gone. I'm gonna wait for Baxter. Terry and Miranda went after Cove. Terry, with her usual exuberance, yelled, "Oh, yeah!"
Well, I appreciate their enthusiasm.
He glanced at you, not taking the turn just yet.
Are you going?
No thanks.
Not good.
You're very polite.
You didn't think it was much. You weren't so impatient that you'd throw yourself out on the street, or abandon the one who drove you there. The rest of them could handle that. Cove jogged after the truck. Terry cheered and waved, trying to catch the driver's attention. Miranda skipped behind her, moving her arms in wide motions. The truck lurched to a stop. They'd done it!
Excellent.
Excitement was plain on his face, but Baxter cautiously turned to where the truck and your friends had gone. He parked on the opposite side and opposite end of the nearly empty street. Baxter grinned as he finally unbuckled.
Shall we?
Mm-hmm. Yay! You left the properly stopped vehicle and crossed the street together. The other three huddled around the large menu pasted on the broad side of the truck. As you joined the group, you could feel the anticipation of a kid on their birthday, except it was somehow everybody's birthday at the same time. Up close, you could see the images were faded. They weren't as vibrant as they should have been, and chips of paint were flaking off. If anything, the wear and tear increased the charm. It was real, and it was just what you'd imagined. You were finally experiencing a quintessential summer ritual. Hooray! The order window lifted, and the driver gave a hearty greeting.
Good evening! Good evening to you.
Hi.
Hey.
You waved at the friendly driver from behind the others.
Sorry.
Hi. Thanks for stopping for us. Sorry for chasing you.
No! Thank you for stopping by. Can I get you something?
Absolutely.
He beamed with victory, a cat who got his cream. Ice cream. Then he gave his first check over the options and shrugged.
However, we do require a moment.
Of course, no problem. Take your time. That started the great ice cream discussion. Ice cream was serious business and took consideration. Miranda was firmly in the camp of actual ice cream options, making the valid point that you'd come for ice cream. Terry wasn't convinced. Neither was Cove. Getting ice cream obviously didn't mean you actually had to get ice cream. Anything from the truck counted. The debate ended with no agreed-on winner. Everyone just got what they wanted.
Hi again. I'd like a coconut popsicle.
Sure, let me get that for you. She reached over into a freezer and pulled out the first of the treats. She handed it off to Cove and he passed her some cash. I'll have one of those snow cones!
And can I have a chocolate-dipped ice cream cone, please? The D4?
They both received their treats, paid, and stepped away to clear the way. You decided to order... I gotta go with my favorite. I know it's what he's going to order too, but... This has been my go-to since I was a kid!
You've always liked that kind of thing.
Yes, I have! Baxter, meanwhile, had yet to finish staring at the menu. With intense scrutiny, his eyes went over the rows of advertised frosty desserts long after everyone else already had theirs. It was getting awkward, especially for the lady in the truck, who would be stuck there until he finally got around to ordering something. Terry tried to break the ice, or ice cream, and cracked a joke. Get the ice cream sundae cup. The ice cream is totally white, and the chocolate sauce looks almost black. She found that to be a side splitter, but it didn't even make a dent in Baxter's reverie. The world around him was lost to the palace of his mind.
Baxter?
Still no reaction. A new strategy was needed. Terry stuck a hand right in front of his face, cutting him off from the pictures taking all his attention. He blinked, and the spell of those tantalizing treats was broken.
I'm sorry.
Oh, is something the matter?
That's what we wanted to ask you. You've been quiet for a while.
Ah, yes, I have been.
Baxter put a hand to his chin and popped his hip out to one side. The focus that had been so centered on the truck was now set upon the rest of you. With that pose and his already eccentric style, Baxter looked like a side character in a cartoony mystery game. One who was definitely not the criminal, but still needed to be cross-examined for important details.
My problem is this. I'm unsure if I should get a dessert that's to my usual taste. If I do, I'd be certain to enjoy what comes from the ice cream truck. That would be nice. But on the other hand, this may happen only once. Perhaps it'd be more rewarding to get something new, an option that would be challenging to find in a common store. Which will add more to the experience. Indulgence or novelty? I want to make the right choice.
Yeah. Did we do this last? No, we didn't do this last time. Because I was like, I only share things with Cove. That's right. I was a one treat sharer only kind of girl back then. I still am, technically. Yeah, let's try this. Get whatever you want, and then you can try what I got too. As long as we don't get the same things, you'll be able to sample 2 different treats.
It's settled.
Oh. Well, I can't reject such generosity. In that case, my decision is made.
Fun!
Yay!
Success! Baxter approached the truck determinedly and leaned against the counter. He spoke briefly to the patient ice cream lady, then money was exchanged. In return, he got his prize. The coveted ice cream truck treat was finally in his hand. Baxter already explained the method of his decision-making, but what that actually amounted to was a mystery. He held it up for the curious onlookers. In his grip was a damp wrapper that boldly stated what laid underneath: a creamy popsicle made to look like a cute girl with bubblegum pieces in the eyes. She was a character from an ever-popular cartoon show. A sweet thing colored mostly by blues and yellows, and overall wildly out of place for a man like Baxter Ward to possess. Baxter was living on the edge that evening. Cove snorted a laugh. Terry applauded. Oh yeah, you can't get that in the grocery store.
Yep.
Or at a restaurant, and it'd be really hard to make yourself.
You've done good, Baxter. Entirely straightforward, Baxter made his intentions known.
This will be the first and last time I consume a small girl's face. Ideally.
Uh-huh. Novelty indeed. After one more thanks to your crowd, the ice cream sales lady shut the side window. Then the truck slowly began to move. Your friend shouted and waved and gave grand farewells, wishing her well on her journey bringing treats to young and old. She beeped the horn a couple times in a cheer of her own. Nice. The truck eventually disappeared beneath the skyline, and you, along with the others, ambled across and up the road towards Baxter's car with treats in hand. Miranda and Terry giggled about something you couldn't quite catch, but it became apparent the minute they exchanged cones and took a lick each. Actually, using the word lick might have been generous.
Terry!
A peek at Miranda's half-eaten ice cream and the vanilla and chocolate smeared all over Terry's mouth said all that needed to be said about the situation. Terry pitched forward, clutching her head, the cone nearly hurtling to the ground as she pressed into her temples with both hands.
Ooh.
Ha! Karmic justice!
Brain freeze, huh?
It was hard to keep a smile from showing on your face. Yeah? Looks like it.
She might have deserved it.
You snicker to yourself, trying to not laugh too loudly. Then Cove pinched the edge of his popsicle stick, waving it like an accusatory finger in Terry's direction before taking a bite off the top. The regret was immediate on his face the minute he crunched down on it. He stiffened into a covesicle. You couldn't say he didn't deserve it. Luckily, both Cove and Terry made full recoveries after a minute. Cove bumped his shoulder into yours. He was careful he didn't send you flying.
Hey.
Hi? He was the one who approached you, yet his eyes didn't meet yours. Instead, they were sharply focused on the dessert clasped in your hand. Cove! But I'm a one-sharer kind of girl. Oh, but you're my best friend, though. I didn't sign up for this ice cream sandwich threesome. Oh, well. His blue eyes finally met yours in a single fluid motion. The look was pleading. Cove was never good at hiding what he wanted. Then again, he never really made a point of trying to be. His mouth didn't even need to voice the intention, the desperation, but it still did.
Can I try some of yours?
Yeah, you can try, and so can everyone. Oh, our most graceful and generous benefactor, you have given us a treat! You know what? I'm gonna make it less weird by sharing it with everybody, okay? That's all I gotta do. Cove smiled as Terry bid him to join in the act.
Oh,
Sure.
a boon for houses Holden, Brooke, and Eckert?
How about Hobrookert?
Hobrookert?
Very nifty.
Love it! That's our castle name!
When did we get a castle?
The question went without an answer. Pass it over, buddy! Miranda nibbled at her cone through chuckles as Terry took an enthusiastic taste of your treat and followed that with an approving nod. I feel like I'm not gonna get much of this ice cream sandwich.
Are you done yet, you dessert hog?
Nope. That's the trick, Randy. I never have enough. She grinned. Her teeth were blue.
Well,
I, too, am generous and benevolent.
Randy did a mock curtsy, holding her cone out to you like it was a fancy goblet.
Please do me the great honor of a taste test.
It was a quick enough exchange, met with Miranda's queenly approval after you had a selection of her ice cream yourself. You can try mine. I don't need any.
really?
Oh, are you sure?
It wasn't like him to deny a treat, but it also wasn't like him to take something without paying it back in spades, either. Not since you were little kids, anyway. He fidgeted uncomfortably, nails scraping against the thin wood of his popsicle stick. I wouldn't have offered it if I wasn't sure. Your reassurance set him at ease again, and he gratefully took your ice cream sandwich in hand to sample himself. A number of reactions shifted through his features. Curiosity at first, intrigue, confusion, before finally settling on something neutral. Good? Once he had his fill, he passed it back and made an okay gesture with his now free hand.
Thanks, Molly.
Mm-hmm. The others continued chatting as you clocked that there was a notably absent figure from the party. It's because I shared my sandwich with everybody. It was your fifth and newest addition to the group, who also happened to be the one who drove you guys here and made the plan in the first place, Baxter. Your eyes followed the retreating backs of Miranda and Terry, then to Cove, who already started to outpace you the minute you relaxed. You attempted to see if Baxter had gone even further ahead. There were no signs of that monochromatic color scheme you'd gotten so good at spotting. A low chuckle from behind you gave away the ghost. His tone was chill as always, but it was even more fitting considering the theme of the frozen delights.
Oh?
I wonder what it is that you're searching for, Molly.
He felt bad, not noticing that he'd been quiet since you gave your well wishes and sent the truck off on its way. You imagined he would have fit himself into the conversation without much issue, but he hadn't. Instead, he hung out at the very end of the crowd, inspecting his dessert with the gravity of a man who only just faced his fear of the ocean for the first time. You slowed to a stop altogether and waved on the others when they checked on you. Baxter's walk turned into a brief jog, aware that you were waiting and not wanting to keep you. It wasn't long before he came up from behind. You fell into step beside him, the two of you silent as he passed a wandering gaze in your direction. You can still try mine, if you want. It's okay if you don't, too.
No, I do.
Wonder turned to relief once you made it clear you hadn't forgotten the promise.
I merely intended to wait my turn.
How polite. Baxter held an open palm out, waiting for the proffered treat to be handed over. But when you moved it closer, he didn't pick up the dessert. Instead, Baxter held your wrist, keeping the ice cream sandwich steady, and leaned in to try it from you directly. Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't realize you wanted me to feed you. Why didn't you just say so, Boo? His fingers were long and delicate, and they were cold.
Thank you.
You're welcome. He noticed your reaction and grinned deviously as he retreated to a respectable distance. Again. Oh, this guy kills me. Even though he'd let go, it still felt tingly where his touch had been.
Excellent.
Would you care to try mine? It is intriguing.
I can't eat anything that has a face. That's great. Well, I mean, if you're offering... Baxter held out the popsicle to you for your appraisal. It was flavored faintly by freezer burn and bubblegum. That was the conclusion you drew after getting a good lick to the back of his popsicle. I'm sorry. My mind went into the gutter. Just... the sentence out of context is so bad. I'm sorry. I'm fine. I'm pure. I'm fine. It's fine. It didn't really taste of anything. I'm moving swiftly on. At least not with any certainty. That is what I've always found with those popsicles, though. They don't taste of anything, really. Baxter watched quietly, still holding it at an angle for you to have another try if you wished. But it didn't feel right doing it a second time. Thank you. I'm alright. Baxter withdrew his offer, taking another lick of his popsicle instead.
It's an experience, no?
Well, it was hard to disagree there. It tasted strange, but you weren't sure if you enjoyed it or didn't enjoy it either. Intriguing had been the right word for it.
Hey, buddies.
Hey. Terry waved, her snow cone on high as she called out to the both of you. When did the others get to the car? You paced yourself in hopes of not keeping them waiting for long. Terry was always excitable. Baxter followed your lead. Terry pointed her partially melted snow cone towards Baxter as soon as he came close enough. I wanted to try yours too. Mine's a little slushy now, but that's half the appeal. He gave his cartoon face popsicle to Terry, taking the paper cone in exchange.
And for reference, what is the other half?
Turns your tongue blue.
Really?
Didn't you get a cherry?
Yup. Cove shook his head, but didn't have it in him to get involved with that conversation. After they each got a chance to try the other's desserts, Baxter and Terry swapped again. Then Baxter leaned against his car hood while everyone else happily situated themselves around the area. Randy and Terry took seats on the sidewalk curb, apparently heatedly debating the possibility of blue cherry being a real flavor. Terry had a fair argument considering raspberries weren't blue, and yet blue raspberry did exist for some reason. Cove hovered nearby, crouching himself on the summer-warmed asphalt. He stretched and strained, trying to lick a stream of melted coconut popsicle running down his arm. Cove, you're going to... sprain your tongue? Well, that's something you'd never thought you'd say. Ignoring your well-intentioned warning, he pressed on. His face squished against his forearm, tongue angling to try anyway.
I can do it. It's personal now.
The limits of the human body were a pain, but it was still pretty funny to watch him try to fight against it. With the absence of the ice cream truck's music and the thrill that came with that, the street seemed entirely different. Houses quietly lined the street, and you now heard the rush of the wind. Branches swayed overhead in the breeze, and leaves rustled. It didn't carry the comforting smell of sea salt.
So?
Here we are. Terry heartily licked the side of her snow cone. She leaned on her fist, the arm propped up on a raised knee. Her tongue was extremely blue now. Far away from where we belong and who knows where, camped out in front of some random suburban person's house. Miranda tilted her head back to look up at the mailbox mounted to the concrete. Rocking to one side, she craned her head to get a read of what number was on the side of it.
Thanks.
Thank you to the fine people of 231, whatever this street is.
Thanks.
They didn't do anything for us. Thanks, ice cream truck lady.
Right. And thanks for driving us all the way out here, Bax. Can I call you Bax? Before he could answer, Terry sucked in a bit of air and waved it off.
Nah.
That's not right. I'll work on it. Baxter chuckled, taking another lick of his popsicle.
There's no need to thank me. It was exactly what I had wanted to do.
This stuff tasted way better when I was a kid. Hey, what did you guys think of the ice cream truck?
It was pretty good, but would have been way better 10 years ago.
Oh, yeah.
It was everything I've dreamed of. For the last hour. Randy nodded, taking another lick of her ice cream cone. A glop of it dripped onto her hands before Baxter offered a napkin, which she happily took.
It's one of the best ways to get ice cream. Grocery stores don't come close.
I'm inclined to agree. A suitable new feather in my cap for summer traditions.
The sky grew pinker and yellower, and you knew the day was soon going to come to a close. Somehow it felt wrong. It had gone too fast to be over. Though summer never seemed long enough those days. As you were about to voice that thought, you heard the dim sound of something gurgling. That immediately replaced the words that came out. Hey, did you guys hear that? I did!
Yeah, what was it?
Neither of the boys replied to the question except for shakes of the head and shrugs in the negative. There was no time for a follow-up question because the answer came in the form of a pshh. Water bubbled, then shot up in graceful arcs all around. Droplets splattered onto paved driveways and were coming towards the sidewalk next.
Sprinklers!
Randy made a break for it, dashing into the street with the speed of an Olympian sprinter. Randy, wait up! Terry leapt onto her feet. Her shoes hit the concrete with wet slaps while Baxter wordlessly searched for cover himself from the surprise spray, meandering away without any urgency. Baxter even had time to finish the last bit of his cartoon face popsicle. I ran, I think, to join them the other time. I'll take it in stride this time. Sure, you got a little wet, but water was water and you were hardly a stranger to it. You used to run through the sprinklers as a kid. They would dry pretty quick. The Cove didn't even so much as flinch. He only stood to his full height with his back to the car, a popsicle stick prodding out of his mouth. He glanced over at the others and grinned as he withdrew the stick clean.
Oh?
How about this water-based activity? We're all still in swimsuits.
Exciting.
Oh, well, isn't that an interesting proposition?
The challenge had been issued and Baxter threw down the gauntlet. He held his own popsicle stick between his teeth, tossing his shirt off into the street with the grace of someone who'd definitely done this before. Yes! Ko's eyes popped open with shock, but he didn't allow the surprise to keep him from moving. He darted off to the lawns. As Baxter came sprinting from behind, it looked more like Ko was running away from him rather than into the sprinklers. My snow cone! Terry complained, sticking the paper cone higher in the air as she stayed well and good away from the sprinkler spray.
No.
It'll melt! Terry had a wetsuit on, but that wasn't going to protect her snow cone by a long shot.
Let's do it.
Aw, come on, Terry. Live a little.
In spite of the fact that Miranda had led the charge for cover, she was easily convinced to jump into the fray. Skipping to the sidewalk with her ice cream in tow, she waved the two boys down to stop and wait for her. Terry sidled up to your side, clutching her, honestly, already melted dessert. Her eyes kept going between her much-beloved treat and the sparkling sprinklers, but she seemed to have chosen to preserve the sanctity of the snow cone instead. Those sprinklers were yours! Here I come! Terry gave you a thumbs up as you abandoned your shoes and went frolicking through the sprinklers with reckless abandon. The temperature of the water was bracing. Odds had been good that it'd be cold, but that was almost on the next level. Did the suburbs put ice in their pipes? Still, you weren't about to regret the decision now. I mean, why not? Oh god, now he's completely lost the shirt! Dang it! I wish I could have seen like an animated GIF or whatever of him just like taking the shirt off and throwing it in the street. It would have been great. Rushing up to Baxter's side, you bumped your shoulder into his and sneakily took his hand in yours. He pushed his hair back with his free one. The black and white strands blended. It was an impulsive decision, but you didn't regret it.
Oh, how about a dance?
In reply, you shyly squeezed his hand. He twirled into you, curling your arm around him. Stop dancing through the sprinklers, I'm gonna die.
That's wonderful.
Baxter spun himself out, and you made your way through the sprinklers, trading twirls and stopping to spin together. Amazing! Yes, it's everything I've ever wanted. You were all fancy-footed and careful until suddenly you heard Randy cry out in surprise. She was covering her mouth and held what remained of her crumbling sugar cone. The ice cream had fallen, abandoned to the grass. It was one thing to have damp ice cream, but it was another if it fell to the ground altogether. Everyone stopped, except for the sprinklers on their back-and-forth paths, and Terry Brooke. Terry breached the wall of water, sliding across the grass until she could get a leg up. On one knee, she lifted her snow cone in offering as if it were the finest bouquet of roses.
Randy, will you do me the great honor?
Oh.
Miranda lit up brighter than any star, giggling as she wiped the last streaks of ice cream from her fingers. Romance is in the air this evening. She took the offered snow cone, dark hair falling forward as she smiled softly at Terry. Terry bounced up from the ground, dusting off what grass had adhered itself to her legs.
You know, it was just ice cream. I would have survived.
Terry was aghast, her hand at her clavicle before she reached out for the snow cone.
All right.
I'm taking it back then.
Nope, you already gave it to me.
Cove's eyes met yours as you turned in the direction of the boys, and he smiled, shrugging as if to say that he didn't know what to do either. The two were already invested in a new game of keep away until Cove stole it right out of their hands, only to be immediately dogpiled by both. You turned to search for Baxter to see if he was going to join the fray, but he was distracted. His attention was squarely fixed on Miranda and Terry, watching as they argued about whose snow cone it was, and if Cove really had a stake in the matter.
I see.
He hummed, stroking his chin with consideration before brown eyes met yours, and the thoughtful expression gave way to a lax smile. He chuckled, gesturing to them as he gave you a look to ask if this was typical. An answer to which you readily provided a big thumbs up.
Hey, nice job.
I'm on it.
For Randy, anything. Terry beamed in reply, elbowing Cove in the ribs before the sudden hiss of another sprinkler rising from its earthly tomb reminded her of where they were. Randy shotgunned the rest of Terry's snow cone. A champion was born. Terry responded by crushing the paper cone against her forehead, to Miranda's delight, though she did get some of the syrup in her eye. And it wasn't long before that interlude was forgotten. Dashing and leaping resumed in earnest. But all good things must come to an end. Eventually, the sprinklers retreated into the ground, and all that remained of the celebration was 5 dripping young adults. Boo! I was just getting started! It should have gone longer!
Honestly, I think it went on really long for being a bunch of sprinklers.
The sun was situated almost perfectly halfway below the horizon. It was probably about time to call it quits for the day. Actually, you were really sure to call it when another breeze swept by and caught on the now soaked and very cold fabric of your clothes. Shivering in place, you watched as Terry and Miranda immediately found each other again, the girls clinging desperately to each other for warmth. Cove tugged on the hem of his shirt, pinching it away from his body before allowing it to fall back with a wet slap.
I should have taken this off before I went in.
He promptly rectified that and took off his shirt, cheeks pinking with embarrassment when the girls took a break from being called to whistle at him.
Guys! I wasn't wearing this at the beach. It's not different now.
Yeah, but your shirt's wet now. Cove wrung the water out of it before swinging the shirt over his shoulder instead of pulling it on again.
And before anybody says anything, it's gonna be colder wearing that than not wearing it.
The damage to your shirt was as bad for you as it was for him. I'm still wearing my swimsuit underneath. Yeah, I probably would take it off. It'd be more comfortable carrying it than wearing it at that point.
I do regret that we did not bring our towels.
He ambled into the road to pick up his abandoned shirt. Baxter then returned to his car's side, as did the entire gang.
I must confess, I don't find it nearly as cold as you all seem to. Would any of you care to use this?
His eyes met yours as Baxter offered his shirt up by its collar. I mean, that's very sweet. But I'm also wet. I'm gonna make the shirt wet. Thank you. What a gentleman. You draped his shirt over your shoulders like a blanket. It didn't fit quite right, and the fabric was thin, so it soaked up what water was still on you. But when you pinched the front of it closed, it kept the wind out better, and that was enough. It wasn't immediately obvious at first between the earthy smell of wet grass and damp asphalt, but you picked up on the scent of something heady and floral. Sure, yep, we did. That definitely wasn't you. And it sure wasn't this neighborhood, or Cove, or the girls either. The thought was nearly put aside until you burrowed deeper in his shirt to trap what warmth you could that you realized it was probably Baxter's cologne. To the side, Terry and Miranda remained linked. Their knees were practically knocking into each other. You couldn't pry them apart with a crowbar if you tried. That had to be effective. I really didn't think this through. Cove, you want a hug? Baxter? Baxter laughed. He threw up his hands, relenting as he shifted for you to come closer. You made your way over without further fanfare, and he pulled you into a tight hug despite the water on him. He hadn't lied. He was warmer than you would have expected any of the others to be. But you couldn't exactly pretend that the goosebumps up and down his arms weren't there either. You rested your arms comfortably around his waist. You doubly confirmed the rich scent was his cologne, but you couldn't tell what the smell was exactly. It smelled pleasant, though, and you only noticed it more once you started to think about it. I'm thinking about it. Caught up in your own reverie, you didn't notice when he leaned in closer, his lips at your ear.
Perfect.
Your thoughtfulness is appreciated, Molly. And so is your body heat.
I actually choked on saliva. Help! Help! Oh no. Give me a second. Alright, we're good, we're fine. We're moving on. The shock nearly made you pull away from him. Your hand shot up to cover your ears with embarrassment. Baxter played innocent, only smiling as the others watched you both suspiciously. It was the sudden cough from Cove, no, not from Cove, that made you remember exactly where you were. When he looked from over Baxter's shoulder, Cove glanced away as he awkwardly scratched his cheek.
Ooh.
Shut up! Sorry. Don't judge me. Wow, get a room! Baxter's chest rumbled in a low laugh, nodding in agreement as he released you from his embrace. He did, however, allow his arm to settle comfortably around your shoulders. Baxter then gave the group a once-over. Miranda and Terry were still chattering their teeth, and Cove, in spite of claims to the contrary, wasn't doing too hot either.
It would be no trouble if we were to return now. I truly don't mind if the car gets wet.
Randy and Terry vehemently and loudly disagreed with the suggestion. It's a rental! They'll probably charge you if we track all this water in.
You know.
Not exactly.
We can at least wait until we're not dripping everywhere anymore, right? Even if we're not all the way dry?
He glanced at the car, then to the others. Baxter already started reaching for the door handle when they disagreed. He allowed his hand to fall to his side.
I suppose it would be tragic to ruin leather upholstery. Thank you. It is kind of you to be so considerate.
In that case...
I am certain my acquaintance will appreciate it.
Terry mouthed acquaintance to Miranda, then over to you, only to be met with an equally confused shrug from her and a knowing chuckle by you. Cove shook his head until water started flying from his hair. It splattered against the side of the car, already wet from the sprinklers earlier. Hey!
Cove!
If it's fine with Baxter, then we can stay a while longer. Absolutely.
Staying longer didn't mean staying still, though. You and the others walked down the sidewalk, sandals and shoes squelching with the residual wetness as you made your way throughout the neighborhood. The neighborhood, but not your neighborhood.
So...
It's weird that it doesn't smell like the ocean.
Cove's nose crinkled as your head perked up. He smiled, as if to confirm you two had been on the same page the minute he even mentioned it.
Oh, yes.
I find the scent of lawn clippings rather relaxing, personally. Huh. Okay.
Your band of five continued to meander past a street sign, and Terry narrowly managed to avoid getting her shoe stuck in a gap in the concrete. You know something?
I know a lot of some things.
Miranda offered cheekily, grinning from ear to ear as she looked in your direction. I don't know how we got from the beach to here. The very important quest for ice cream, remember? She swatted Baxter in the side with her free arm. He rubbed at the place, and you wondered if it actually hurt him or if that was for the dramatics.
Hey!
You can add sprinkler running to your list of water-based summer activities. And since we're talking about your past water exploits... Cove already tensed up before Terry even asked her question. How'd you end up skinny dipping anyways? Cove dropped his face in his hands, shaking in disbelief, while Miranda snorted a quiet, oh my gosh. You remembered that Cove was the one who brought up water-based activities to get Baxter's sprinkler running in the first place, but you weren't going to mention that.
What?
You guys aren't curious? I'm just asking what we were all thinking. The people want to know. I'm the people. I'm also the people. It wouldn't have been obvious, he responded at all, if it wasn't for the slight pressure against your shoulder. Baxter gave a half shrug with his free arm.
It is not nearly as intriguing as you might imagine.
Honestly.
I believe it was about 3 years ago. I was vacationing at a lake cabin and was dared to by those in my company.
A dare?
A tale as old as time. I believe it was around midnight and the water was freezing, but it did make for a memorable trip. As I said, it isn't a particularly remarkable story.
When you heard the sparse details, it was easy to believe. That seemed exactly like the kind of thing that Baxter would do. He may be accommodating, but the minute that Cove challenged him to something, it was on.
Now.
More remarkable was today's adventure, I wager. It is not every day that I am able to go running through the sprinklers, or chase an ice cream truck across the city. Much less with such delightful company.
Oh, you. Terry let one hand dangle daintily. Her opposite one was covering her mouth as she acted like one of the many old ladies you could find around Sunset Bird. Baxter didn't reply, gaze now fixated on the sidewalk in front of him as you all continued ahead, one square of concrete after another.
No, truly. It reminded me I am not nearly as old as I might sound.
He grazed the back of his neck with his hand, holding it there. Then he stared up at the sky, but it was clear he wasn't staring at the clouds. He was searching for something past it that wasn't there anymore.
Yet the last time I've done anything of this nature was when I was a child, running around with my old friends and causing havoc to our poor, unsuspecting town.
Did I ask this last time? I don't remember. I think we did. It's ringing a bell for some reason. I'm torn between, I'm glad you suggested it and asking this question. I probably would have, like, in the moment, I would probably do this, so. I'm glad you suggested it. Baxter hummed comfortably, allowing the conversation to lapse into silence. And then it was nighttime. The twilight stroll continued until the sky turned dark and street lamps flickered on. Even as night fell, you thought there might still be a chance to cling to the thread of this day. Everyone was sufficiently dried enough anyway to not consider yourselves liabilities. When the vehicle came into view, Cove mumbled,
Staying outside in swimsuits until it's nighttime and getting ice cream. It really is like we're kids again.
Not just like being kids, but kids on a vacation. Well, Baxter is on a vacation, but it's like someone's birthday or the 4th of July.
Fireworks! Baxter dropped his keys, startled when Terry suddenly screamed.
Sorry.
He waved off the apology, kneeling down to pick them up. That was the second time his attempts to open the car had been interrupted. Perhaps the third time would be the charm.
What was that about?
We can't go home yet! I just remembered there were fireworks today! Cove and Miranda looked at one another before they turned their scrutiny onto Terry.
Huh?
For what?
I think it's to celebrate an opening or something. We probably can't get into the real event, but we can see it with our eyes for free. She made 2 circles with her hands, holding them up to her aforementioned eyes as she advanced closer to Cove, who lightly pushed her back with a hand. They can't stop the public out from seeing explosions in the sky!
Seriously?
Really? Another last-minute rush trip?
Cove sighed, shaking his head in disapproval. Aw, come on, Cove. Don't be a wet blanket. Terry wrote him off, likely aware that Cove could not help being wet, turning to face you, Miranda, and Baxter, the 3 that stood in the way of her night continuing for an hour or 2 more.
So?
What about you, Molly? Randy? Baxter? Want to see some fireworks? Terry continued on without waiting for an answer. Isn't today all about summer experiences? What's more summer than fireworks? It's fireworks. We gotta go.
I guess they are fireworks. Alright, whatever. What's one more scene change?
I'm on it.
Yosh! I knew this was a good idea! In turn, 4 sets of eyes looked to Baxter. As the driver, his answer made or broke the plan. He chuckled softly.
In for a penny, in for a pound. I'll go.
Honestly.
Genuinely, there's nothing better to occupy my time tonight. We better hurry or we might miss it.
Cove rolled his eyes but laughed. There was no time to lose. The fireworks were sure to start soon. If you didn't want to miss any part of it, that meant you needed to book it now. The gang hurried into the car and were slowly blessed with warmth after Baxter turned on the heater and it began to kick in. Terry wiggled in her seat, proudly announcing that she had the additional gift of seat warmers to the envy of everyone else in the car. Did she end up going into the front this time? However, the goal wasn't to sit there enjoying modern accommodations. It was to get back out of the car as quickly as possible. It took a while to get out of the winding streets of the neighborhood, but eventually Baxter reached the freeway and zipped straight to the city. For the second time that day, you were met with the silhouettes of skyscrapers in the near distance, but now they were illuminated by explosive bursts of greens and purples.
It's starting!
Oh no, are we going to miss it?
Baxter's hand rested on the gear shift, digits curling against the handle before he switched into the right lane to exit off the freeway.
Wait, the GPS said... No, there's somewhere outside of the city that I intended to visit. I believe we can stop by there and catch the show. It's an unblocked viewing area.
Oh yeah!
Baxter, you are brilliant!
Woo!
Pedal to the metal! Unless you're already speeding, then don't go any faster.
Cove and you turned towards Miranda, but she was hardly paying attention, her hands covering her cheeks as she cheered Baxter on while simultaneously advocating for traffic safety. Baxter tightened his grip on the wheel, changing a few more lanes before he exited and threaded through another tangle of local streets. Eventually, the car rumbled to a stop as a waterside path appeared in the dark. So pretty! Everyone piled out one after the other, sprinting from the parking lot. Cove, Miranda, and Terry scrambled up the edge of the path at the water's edge. Baxter stayed in the middle between the start and the end, folding his arms as he hovered behind the crew. His eyes were less fixated on the sights unfolding before you than they were focused on the other three. High in the sky and far away was the perfect way to watch fireworks. Less crowded than it would have been in the city, and quieter than it would have been there too. It was kind of funny. You and your group lived in or around the city almost all your lives, and it was Baxter who found this place for you to enjoy. Tourists did tend to put in the effort to find scenic spots. People who could theoretically see something every day didn't always take the opportunities around them.
Ooh.
Randy pointed out a golden firework and beamed.
Woo!
Oh, that's so cool!
Terry held up a hand for a high five and Miranda obliged her. Terry whooped and shot you a smile.
Hey.
What color do you think the next one will be?
Without giving Baxter a glance, Cove answered immediately.
Green.
It was orange. Baxter chuckled, but wasn't interested in calling Cove out for being wrong.
Hmm?
Is that your favorite color? Green.
That's...
It's one of them. I think that's nice. It matches you. And is yours black? That's one of them.
Cove smirked just a little and left the conversation there. And I'll stay next to Baxter. Baxter had continued watching the other three before he suddenly turned left. His eyes were on you as soon as you'd gotten near.
How are you?
How do you do, Molly? Enjoying the view?
Yes, and the fireworks are nice too. Honestly, I'm freezing. I think so.
Well, that is no small relief, I will say.
The others had taken notice of your absence at the waterfront and had begun migrating the crowd farther back. Baxter glanced over his shoulder when he noticed you staring at something behind him. He waved as they jogged to the car's side.
What's wrong?
Is everything okay? And are you?
Miranda's brows knitted together with clear worry.
We can head home if you're not.
Yeah.
It's no problem.
They were sweet for worrying, but you shook your head. It wasn't that you were upset. You were just happier where you were. Same as Baxter. I'm okay, guys. Really. You can watch it where you want to.
Is that all right?
Well, if you're sure.
Still, despite your reassurances, Cove searched your eyes for any answers to the contrary.
Do you want me to stay back with you?
It's fine. You should go with Terry and Miranda. Cove smiled softly before quietly retreating. Cove was so sweet. He stopped to take another look at you on his way to the water's edge, but eventually relented as you waved him on. Baxter picked a good place to watch from. Every point and every angle of the view was dazzling. The fireworks sprayed colors across the sky, and for a moment you were holding your breath before whatever came next. No words could adequately describe that anticipation. Try it as Terry might, you could still hear her cheer at every new spectacle. It had been nice and toasty in the car, but since you were outside and not moving, you couldn't help wrapping your arms around yourself, trying to trap the warmth. Baxter tilted closer, but kept enough distance between you to remain polite. His eyes met yours in wordless invitation, half lifting an arm in case you needed to come closer. So sweet. I'd snuggle. You slid into his arms, a puzzle piece fitting into the right place. Aww. He hummed, low and agreeable, as he held you close enough to press his warmth into you. You could feel his heartbeat through your thin clothes. He adjusted your position so that you could both see the fireworks and rested his head comfortably on top of yours. Ah, I love that. Your eyes continued to search the sky when Baxter spoke up. His voice was impossibly quiet in the way that things are when it was important.
You're incredible.
Shut up. What do you mean? I'm soaking wet and wearing your shirt. What is that? No.
You look amazing. Do you know that?
The fireworks show immediately became unimportant. They might have all fizzled out into nothing as far as you'd been aware. Why did you say that? Gosh. Well, I don't even know what to say. I don't know. Molly.exe has stopped working. I'm just trying to think, like, what would be the most natural thing I would have said in that moment? It's either between this or this, because I, like, in a panic, I might have, like, complimented as well. I panic compliment, okay? Alright, I'm gonna... The blinking in confusion is also, like, a good one, though. Gosh. Blink, blink. Okay, I'm gonna do heads or tails between this and this, and we'll see. Heads for embarrassment, tails for panic compliment. Hiya! Tails, alright, we're gonna do the panic compliment. Do you know you're wonderful? The corners of his eyes crinkled as his gaze settled on the horizon, though you couldn't tell if it was out of amusement at the situation or some unexpected shyness. In the dim light, you could make out the glare of the fireworks in his eyes. They hadn't vanished after all.
I've been meaning to tell you that all day. Since we were at the beach.
Aww.
When we were walking side by side after the ice cream truck left. And in your bedroom.
What? Nothing stood out in your memory as particularly unique. It was so natural the time you'd spent together, but now that he'd gone and said it, you had to accept the reality that he'd been anticipating this since the very beginning. The whole time, Baxter had been waiting for the opportunity to say something.
To be honest,
It may surprise you to know I am not adept at picking my words. I care a great deal about what I say and that it makes the correct impression. Yet I am not always successful. My approach is off, really.
Gosh, I identify with that.
Fortunately, even I could realize there wasn't a right moment to tell you that. Then we got here, and I thought this was what feels right. I hope I am not wrong after all, but even if I am, the words are true all the same.
so charming.
So, you look amazing. And even after all that, I fear amazing does not adequately express what I think. How regrettable.
Oh, God. A kiss against the fireworks would be so, like, freaking amazing, though.
I don't know if I would have been bold enough, though. I probably would have got... Ooh, yeah, probably... I would have at least done that think, in this moment. Dang, dude. But like this. Ugh. Maybe an AU. Maybe for the AU. For even bolder Molly, where bold Molly can go where I cannot. Alright, we're gonna do the kiss on the cheek. There was a pretty good chance there was nothing on this earth that could truly embarrass Baxter. Nothing that you could do, at least. He didn't even flinch or start with surprise when you leaned in to press your lips against his face. Instead, his fingers grazed your own cheek, soft enough to burn. Dang. You drew back, and the ever-growing temptation to kiss him again stayed when he touched his forehead to yours. His breath lingered in the small space between you both. One explosion of color followed another, and the exuberance of your friends couldn't be measured. You'd seen fireworks before. They weren't anything new. But all those times you'd attended events before, it wasn't anything close to this. You'd nearly missed it, and it wasn't even a show, really, for you to see. That's what made it special. The effort it took for you to get here, the place you were watching from, and the people that you were watching with. The finale of the fireworks took center stage. Dozens scattered across the sky, and the sparks of them descended into the sea below. It was as if they were impossibly far away, distant stars, and yet also close enough to reach out and touch them. In the back of your mind, you knew that there would likely never be another day exactly like that one. When it was over, it'd be over forever, and that made it a precious experience. You vowed to hold on to the memories, feelings, and this one single moment for as long as you possibly could. Man. What a day. What a moment. I feel like kind of lightheaded, honestly. This guy is ruining me one moment at a time. I'm just like soft putty in his hands. This is very bad. Alright, well that's another moment down. I hope you guys enjoyed. You probably could tell that I did. Yeah, we'll go for drinks next time. Hopefully I'll see you there, guys.